I remember reading a headline a year ago which said Deepak Dhar becomes the big boss of Endemol Shine India and Banijay Asia. I'm totally going to steal that line for introducing Mr. Dhar here on this interview today. After all, he's the man who's brought famous international formats like Khatro Ke Khiladi and Big Boss to India many years ago. So thank you so much, Mr. Dhar, for joining us.
No, thank you. We are finally here talking with each other. So glad.
So from having worked your way up to the top of Endemol in India years ago to actively leading Banijay Asia since 2018 and now kind of expanding to target Southeast Asia, what really is the end goal of Brand Dhar?
Well, I wish there is no end goal and it keeps going on and on and on, because that's the fun part of being a storyteller, trying to create content. But I think what really excites me is really just trying to create content for different geographies, different nationalities, different languages. I think the fun part of creating content in different spaces is something that keeps me going. Hopefully that's the end game of trying to do more and more of that.
And you just recently launched Creasia. What is the plan for the brand?
Well, it's really organically coming out of this philosophy of ours, which is really wanting to tell stories in different markets, different cultures, different nationalities. So obviously Endemol, Banijay, now Creasia is really we brought in a couple of storytellers in those markets, who we kind of identify with, and we're really now wanting to tell stories in Southeast Asia and the larger region as well. So I think we also really want to create India as an outsourcing hub for these countries, where we have so much of infrastructure, so much of technical know-how, so much of stories that we could really tell from here for the wider region as well.
Okay. And I think in the last World Cup during the Indo-Pak match, we saw your foray into the live entertainment space. And yesterday, I think just this week, we also saw your partnership with Ravi Shastri. Tell us a little more about it, and are we going to see many more sports-related IPs coming in from both your brands?
Absolutely. I think cricket as such is something that we are competing against as entertainment producers, because cricket's takes away so much of advertising dollars from the market. So we said, why compete with them? Why not play with them?
Yeah.
That was the philosophy, and we then created Banijay Live to be really in the center of all the action of cricket, and who better than Ravi Shastri to kind of strategically guide us and advise us and take us in that direction. And I feel there's so much that we've done in the entertainment space, and sports is a gap that we're really wishing to fill really fast. And be it live entertainment, live events, be it reality shows, or be it shows which really come out of telling a lot of these stories of these big heroes. If you remember back in at least my days, I would say I was really enamored by this one show called Bodyline. And Bodyline was this cult in England versus Australia, rivalry series. And I'm pretty sure a show like that would come out of one of our companies very soon.
And we've seen hits like Hostage, the Night Manager from Banijay Asia, and we've also seen great shows from Endemol. What is really going to be the differentiating factor between the two production houses that now that you're leading both of them?
Well, historically, what happened was Endemol obviously has been structured around a cornerstone called Big Boss, which is a big stone now, and is a monster franchise of ours. It is really a juggernaut that is really, landing big numbers in pretty much all the markets that it has been in, be it Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, and Hindi. I think this year we've had by far the best year of all these shows. So we are, Endemol is structured around a lot of reality television, and that's historically been the strength of that brand. And we obviously want to keep building that strength going forward. So obviously shows like Big Boss, Fear Factor, now MasterChef. MasterChef has now itself gone into 3 different languages. So for us, telling these stories in different languages, different formats is really the fun part. So really Endemol is structured around that. Of course, Endemol also does shows like Trial by Fire and whatnot. So so a lot of that comes out of Endemol. So the personalities are, I would say, largely very reality focused, but we're also building the scripted side in Endemol. And at Banijay, of course, there's Night Manager, there's Trial, there is Hostages, there is Call My Agent, there is Then, and there is a lot that's coming out of the Banijay side. So obviously, a lot around Banijay is more scripted, and a lot around Endemol is very unscripted. So I think it's very complementary at the same time, and both the brands are competing with each other. Let the best idea, let the best man win.
Which I wanted to know, which is really winning with regard to revenues, which has an upper hand here right now.
Well, I don't think it's a fair comparison. Endemol is a 17, 18-year-old company. Banijay is a 6-year-old company. So, I think both have their strengths and weaknesses, and both are my babies. It will be very, very difficult to choose from one from there.
But together, if you had to say for this year, what would be the target for Endemol Shine India and Banijay Asia combined in India?
Well, I wouldn't call them targets, but our ambitions are very, very ambitious, to say the least, and we're enjoying, trying to create a lot of content. So, for us, cumulatively, we want to really be in different languages at the same time, in different markets with all our formats. We really want to, at least in Endemol, the target is to, I'll pull back there a bit. You may not know that we produce about 600 days of Big Boss production in a calendar year, 600 to 700 days, and we want to make that 1,000 days in one calendar year. So that's our ambition, that's our philosophy, that's our focus. Can we take our format into different languages, that same format? So we are really pushing for that. So I think we probably want to touch about 1,000 crores
this year.
Yeah, so that's our key focus. But I don't think the number is so important, but the fact that can we go across in different languages and tell different stories at the same time is of more focus and more excitement.
Also Endemol Shine India is one of those few content companies which is kind of built scale because of ownership of IPs, which is not the case with a lot of your competitors in that case. So tell me, what are the other revenue streams, and how much does IP contribute, and what are the other revenue streams for you at this point?
Well, bringing a lot of international IP is our core expertise. We've always built our businesses around that. I feel that's our calling card, that's our strength, and we use our strength to our advantage wherever we can. We also tell a lot of Indian original stories. That's also our strength. So a lot that comes out of our catalog is also very organically built by our teams here and our colleagues. But I feel outside of that, maybe licensing and merchandising is a big part of the game. Digital activation is another big part. Interactive revenues is a big part of the revenue streams. But by far, IP and production is obviously the big, revenue driver for us. Outside of that, there are obviously other places that we're constantly pushing.
And which are the new IPs that we can see, and which are the new shows that are going to be launched in India?
Well, last year we had the first season of Temptation Island, which kind of shocked the audiences, saying, "Oh my God, what's really happening here?" But we had a fun time producing that last year. There'll be more seasons of that, more versions of that. There will be more seasons of Survivor, again a monster franchise from our global catalogs. There will be a lot more in the scripted side, so shows like Monk, House, Suits, Indian adaptations of those that will come out very soon from our Banijay colleagues very soon. So yeah, there's a lot more in the pipeline. I think we've just about started.
And like I said in the beginning, and you were responsible for bringing some of the best international formats to India, like Khatron Ke Khiladi, MasterChef, a lot more actually, and some turned out to be more popular than the originals. I think Big Boss is actually played in 6 languages in India, which is not the case anywhere else in the world.
Yes.
So it's huge here. So I want to understand from you, over the years, how have you seen this content space evolve, and what really works for India today?
Well, what really works is $1 million question. I don't, I think we're constantly trying to figure out what really works here. But over the last many years that I have been consuming content and also creating and producing it, I think as long as the stories or the characters are fairly emotional, I think that's the one calling card and that's the one currency that we're constantly looking for. I think Indians as a community are slightly emotional in any case. So finding stories, finding characters that we can put in our reality shows that are maybe emotional is something that we're constantly looking for, and that's possibly the first ingredient that kind of gets me excited to tell a story.
There was a time when the likes of Anu Malik or Preetham or Radi Burman were accused of copying music from the West. Now we have a glorified term which is adaptations.
Yeah.
But tell me, in the Indian market today, can you actually do without adaptations? How much of scope is there for the originals alone, if you were to really?
Oh, I think there is tremendous scope, and I think there's so much of great stories being told there. I think the case is maybe 80-20 more tilted towards originals. I know, when a big show comes in, a lot of attention and a lot of focus goes towards it. Like if we brought in Night Manager, everybody talks about it. But at the same time, we've done shows like Dehen. There are a lot of other big shows from other companies like Scam, which have equally done well. So, I think there's enough and more that's being created and produced in the original side. But yeah, formats or adaptations tend to take a fair amount of mileage. But I think there's a good part on the original side in any case that's getting pushed.
And how much time does it take to create an adaptation versus an original?
Well, that's a good one, because adaptation is a lot more, I wouldn't say easier, but the gestation period is a lot tighter. It could take 8 to 10, 12 months. Original could take over 2 years to kind of put together. So which is why we are constantly looking for both sides of the puzzle to really find the next big format, and also constantly find the next big original story to be told, because I feel that populates the scoreboard, where you have quick runs on the board with formats, and while the big hits could come from the originals.
Another thing is, Indian audiences today is very, very touchy. So when you produce content, where do you really draw the line between grabbing eyeballs and being insensitive? Like, where is your Lakshman Rekha?
Right. I think every producer has his own line to draw when it comes to content. We also produce like Big Boss and Temptation Island. So sometimes the lines out there are where people are really accusing us, saying, "Oh man, to what extent are we going?" But obviously, we draw a very strong line as content creators. We have that as our international mandate. We have that as our local mandate as well. So there is a lot of like a line, an S&P line, which is in our head, which we are constantly doing a lot of self-censorship to really tell people that this is very sensitive content, and when we put it out.
There are so many proposals today, to regulate OTT content and censor OTT content. What are your views on it?
Well, already we are regulating in our minds. There is a self-censorship of our content, of S&P of our content. But I think, I am very welcome to regulation, because I feel, there are times when things are, going out of hand, that maybe things are getting abused. At the same time, regulation always helps. There's no issue with that.
Okay, 4 things: unscripted, scripted formats, originals, and regional remakes. Tell me, align them in the order of importance for Banijay Asia and for Endemol in the coming years.
Well, honestly, very difficult, because for us, running 3 or 4 races simultaneously at the same speed is of extreme essence. So, 1A, we are, constantly, like I said, trying to take all our shows in the regional markets, because India is like a European subcontinent. If it works in one market, there's a good chance that it could get picked up and would work in other markets. So we are constantly pushing that. With some of our scripted shows as well, now you will start seeing that we are, telling the same story in Hindi, then we will tell the same story in Tamil, then we will tell the same story in Telugu. And I'm not talking about dubs, I'm talking about, original remakes happening in those markets. So, regional adaptations is extremely important. It's really up there. because that is where the value starts immediately moving, because it's the same script that is now getting moved into different markets. So I think regional adaptations is very big for us. Outside of that, scripted and unscripted is bread and butter. It's very difficult for me to choose there. And live events is a new baby that has just about started about 8-9 months back, and in a very short span of time doing the opening ceremony of the India-Pakistan World Cup game, doing the Miss World, doing the Miss World event itself. So I think the team has done extremely well there. So that's another big focus area. So honestly, very difficult for me to pick and choose saying what happens in what order, because in my head there is no order that we have to go at all four at the same pace at the same time.
Another thing that we haven't really seen you delve into much is, I think, movies. And there was a time when Endemol had come up with, I think, 4 movies, Teen, Brothers and all of that. But we don't see that as a big focus now. Is that going to be in the coming years?
It will be, strategically, we wanted to sequentially set up all our companies. So one was to first bring Endemol back into the Banijay family. So that took a fair amount of time to get done. That's now behind us. Then we wanted to set up Creatia. And that was the second strategic pillar for us. So that's done. And also simultaneously we were, waiting and watching the game, because, the post-COVID, repercussions on the film business have not been very easy. So we were waiting for that to kind of settle down. I think now is a better time to, get out there. And for me, timing a jump is very important, because, you want to be on the right side of the wave. I think now, people are going back to the theaters, watching movies, big or small or medium movies. If it's a great story, people are lapping it up. So I think we were waiting for the repercussions of COVID, and now is where we are now going to pick that business up as well.
But at this point, what would you say are the biggest hurdles for a production house or content factory?
Well, I think largely, for me personally, over time, I think the creative industry hasn't grown to the same extent as the demand that there is. Be it films or be it now the streaming shows or the reality shows. I think the creative community is very short-staffed, and I think as Endemol and Banijay and as a overall group, we're constantly investing in that to really create more bench strength. For us, creating bench strength is very important, and we've tried to do that in the very early days of Endemol as well, and we've been doing that very successfully in Banijay. So really investing in bench strength, investing in the creative community, investing in more writers that could come up and tell us, the next big story. So really, that's really the key focus area.
And any big content partnerships with national or international?
Oh, that comes very easily. Like I said, we are producing a lot outside of the Banijay catalog as well. We are producing stuff for CBS, we are producing stuff for ITV, we are producing stuff for NBC. So those are our big international collaborations that keep happening. And outside of that, you've just heard of the Sporting Beyond and Ravi Shastri, strategic partnership that's just been set up a short while ago. And that's really going to foray us in the cricketainment space. And a lot more in the immediate future as well. So.
One last question: you're considered the largest independent content studio in India after the acquisition of Endemol Shine India. How soon do you think you can say the same for Asia?
Well, I don't have a timeline to it, but I can tell you that we are very aggressive. We are very focused about it. And I feel largest is not something that tickles us as much or gets us so excited, but the fact that we are the contender in the game, right? We don't want to be seen as the champions in the game. We are the contenders in the game, and we are constantly looking for the next big opportunity. And I think Creatia is little over 3 or 4 months old. We only started in Jan this year. We are obviously investing a lot of time, money, and energy building that part of the business. I'm pretty sure we'll get there very fast. Yeah.
So here's to being contenders in the game, like you said, and also winning it at some point in time in the near future. Thank you so much for talking to me and to Impact.
Thank you so much.